Just before I go into that, I'll just do a bit of housekeeping. So we welcome any questions throughout the event. Unfortunately, we're not going to have time to go through them all or answer them all at the end, but we will follow up as soon as we can shortly after. So feel free to drop something in the live chat. And if it's for anyone specific, just drop their name as well. So just before going into the event, I'll just introduce the speakers quickly. So I'm Joe Walker, Technical Director for ANS and today's host. We're also joined by Rob Cottrell and Clarissa Gillingham, who are both Data and AI Practice Leads and Power Platform Practice Leads, respectively. And then we've got our guest speaker, David Minahan, who's the CIO at Teddy London. So in terms of the event itself, we'll be talking about several things really around effectively how we help organizations define and deliver digital transformation. And this follows on from the event we did probably 3 or 4 weeks ago now around combining data platforms in Azure and Power Platform technologies to effectively operationalize your data. Just before I do go into that, just conscious there's quite a lot of people on the call. Not everybody might know ANS, so I'm just going to spend 2 minutes on a bit of who we are, where we're from and what we do. So first point, we're born in Manchester. We were founded in 1996. We've been around a long time, and we effectively position ourselves in the market as a digital transformation partner. We've got around 300 staff now, so we're quite a sizable organisation. But what's probably more prominent is that of those 300 staff, we're around 65% technical, which obviously, given the kind of projects and work that we do, is quite typical, but actually it's a preface to the breadth and width in our capability that I'm going to talk about shortly. We're also sometimes top 50 employer, really good for me as a hiring manager, but also for our customers, the fact that typically the people that they start a project with, they're going to end it with. We've got really good staff retention and also a really energetic young technical workforce who are always trying to effectively push the technical barriers on what's capable of today's technology. And I guess one of the key points I wanted to touch on today is that we've got around 25 years experience specifically in the mid-market enterprise, and this is everything that we talk about both in the previous events, today's events, and any subsequent events is really focused around that market. We're talking about mass market adoption, mass market technologies, and really the way the market is shifting towards using some of today's technology to really transform the way businesses operate within the UK market. I guess if you do know a little bit about ANS and you talk about, if somebody asks you what do they do, a lot of people would say we're quite well known for Azure. Obviously, Azure Expert MSP is quite a big accolade. There's probably only 50 or 60 in the world, less than that in the UK. Actually, we do a lot around data, business applications, application development, and some of the more modern digital technologies as well. Again, I'll come on to that more shortly around why that's really important and how we can use those technologies to help customers digitally transform. But really, I'd kind of question the known kind of brand that we have as being a specialist in Azure, and actually tell people today that we're actually positioned in the market as a Microsoft Cloud specialist. We deliver digital transformation solutions across the Microsoft Cloud. And to kind of build on that, we're going to talk a bit more specifically about the technology areas that we work in. Obviously, I touched on this a moment ago. We do a lot around cloud enablement and cloud platforms, helping organizations transition into cloud, become cloud enabled, and adopt kind of cloud hosting technologies. Around that, we support a lot of organizations, obviously, as the landscape shifts, as where you're hosting your applications, so does your security posture, and so does your network requirements. So we've been doing a lot, especially within our market sectors, around helping their networks and security become far more relevant for today's world. So supporting organizations with software as a service, platforms as a service, distributed kind of technologies, both from a technology perspective, but also, especially as a result of the pandemic, a distributed user base as well. We've touched a lot on this. We'll probably touch some more on this as well, or Clarissa will, as we go into it. We do a lot around low-code. This is one of the fastest growing areas for ANS, and also one of the areas that we believe will be the most prominent in the mid-market enterprise over the next 3 to 4 years, and a technology that's growing at a phenomenal rate and really helping organisations to transform the way they deliver processes within their business, either being that transitioning away from paper-based technologies or just creating new technologies based on data and insights that they're garnering from kind of their newer systems, software as a service. And then to support that, we do a lot around data and analytics as well. Obviously, Rob's going to talk some more about that later, but the two pair very well. And that was the kind of talking point of the last event, and kind of where we left that was, okay, so we now know how to, in theory, get the best out of these technologies, but how do we apply that to the enterprise? How do we start to look at these two technologies when there's such different technical disciplines, and effectively create holistic capabilities that can really help people to transform? Then, obviously, we do a lot around Microsoft Dynamics. It's a very similar technology to Power Platform in the way that Microsoft see it, but actually its use case is very, very different. And we've been doing a lot around organizations, helping them consolidate CRM systems, modernize them, and completely transform the way in which they engage with their customers, their citizens, their students, depending on what industry they're in. And I guess to finally put a summary on that, we do a lot around cloud integrated development, and this isn't just application development that we're doing on servers in cloud. We're talking about consuming cloud native services, and more importantly, overlaying that development and that bespoke application capability across the underlying low-code business applications, dynamics, and cloud technologies. And this is really helping organizations get the best out of the Microsoft Cloud and the different technologies available today, but then bring it together to something that's really, really unique for their users. And so these are all the capabilities that A&S have developed over the kind of recent years. And I guess you couldn't, these are all things we can do. They're not what we do as an organization. I've touched on this briefly at the beginning, but fundamentally, as a business, we're delivering digital transformation. We help organizations move from where they are today and help them get to where they want to be using technology. And by its very nature, digital transformation and its definition is different to every organization. And I think as Rob and Clarissa go into the way in which we can engage with you, the way in which we can help organizations become digitally transformed, it'll become really apparent that we've gone into this, developing this engagement model with this in mind. We really do understand that every organization's perspective, both on where they are today and where they want to be, is going to be completely different every single time. Nobody is starting with the same applications, the same processes, and nobody wants to finish with the same. So fundamentally, creating an engagement model, creating a capability that allows us to understand where customers are today, understand what they want to achieve and the outcomes, and really help them get there is going to be the talking point today. And so with that, I'm going to hand over to Clarissa and Rob. They're going to kind of take you through our engagement model and how we're using that to help solve that problem.
Awesome, thank you, Joe. So, well, what we've done with A&S's engagement model is we've been able to define a way of creating digital transformation that really allows the customer to cherry pick what modules apply to them. And this is a really exciting system and way of putting together all of these modules, almost like molecules or particles into a molecule, into a formula, a single digital transformation formula that spans as many of the different practices within A&S as the customer needs. And what we've done is we've separated these engagements into two separate kind of pockets that Rob will go through with you now.
Yeah, thank you for that, Clarissa. So the way we engage with our customers is very unique. It's a very unique way to help define that digital transformation journey. And we do this across two areas, Navigators and accelerators. And the reason we do that is obviously there's multiple different technology areas aligned to different business challenges. And it's not just one solution or one technology that you will need to really deliver on that outcome. So we do this in a way that we can augment the two together to really help define what that transformation looks like. Accelerators are high value, sort of low cost pre-packaged outcomes designed to align the technology to a specific problem that we know what the outcome is. And Navigators are a comprehensive sort of business engagements where we look at the problem holistically across the business. We engage with the various stakeholders, and then we can put that transformation plan into place to help navigate to that digital transformation journey for yourselves. And we take this journey across these 4 areas. So identify, discover, analyze, and design. And this is a proven way of engaging customers to really help A, understand the problem, but B, then to go in and discover the various information that we need around it. Once we know what the business challenge is or what the digital transformation outcome needs to be, and this can be multiple outcomes that are strung together for a wider business initiative. It's about digging into that and discovering the information that underpins that business process or challenge, or whatever it is you're trying to digitally transform. Once we've collected all that information, and the next discovery phase can be done, as you'll see in a couple of the slides, done over various different technologies or approaches, and bringing all of that information together, analysing the information to really come up with that comprehensive design in terms of, what does the target state need to look like? What does the business process need to look like? What should the operating model be? And once we've understood all of this information and been through this, what that digital transformation journey needs to look like and how you can act on it.
So one of the starting points and the key kind of entry points to this process is that identification phase. And this is a really exciting phase for both sides of the partnership, as we really dive into your business, what matters to you, what is important to you, what are your challenges that you're facing on a daily basis. And we do this via an engagement that we call the Business Process Navigator. And this contains a workshop where we bring together your business users, so the people who are on the front line having these issues, working day to day with these problems, and your IT, and bring them together so that they can share their expertise of their business and their business processes. And myself and my colleagues can bring our expertise of the technologies and the whole Microsoft stack. Because the Microsoft stack is designed in such a way that the different parts of the stack are very good at specific tasks. And it's by combining all of these different technologies together that you can really unlock the power of the whole Microsoft ecosystem. So during this process, we go through with you and identify all of your priorities, all of your pains, all of your desired outcomes. And eventually we manage to cluster these together into specific processes or initiatives that could really be used to kickstart your digital transformation. And we call these flagship deliveries or projects that can really showcase this is what the platform is and this is what the platform means for you as a business. So from this Navigator, you'll get a full report with all of the discussions that we have, as well as that short list of candidates. So you've got an idea of how you can move forward. You've got a draft roadmap and recommendations for where you can go next.
So once we've been through that Navigator and we understand what the process is you're trying to digitally transform, or what the initiative is, or what the cluster of initiatives it is, we can come on to our periodic table and we can cherry pick the right navigators and accelerators that we can bring together to create that journey for yourselves. And these frameworks, as I said, they're done against industry standard frameworks, packaged up to deliver the outcomes quickly and as streamlined as possible. So we can cherry pick the ones we want, we can bring those together to create a unique formula that is unique to yourselves, and this formula then defines the roadmap for you to follow and adopt, and you can highlight the various different areas or initiatives that you want to dive deeper into, but ultimately it takes you on that journey and you know quite clearly on this is the approach, this is a roadmap we need to take to deliver on that digital transformation that we're heading towards.
So once we've identified the processes and initiatives that we want to use as those candidates to get started, we then move into a phase of discovery. And in terms of on the Power Platform side, this is handled within the Inspire Navigator. And this is ANS's unique wrapper around the Microsoft Catalyst engagement. So this is all, as with the previous Navigators, all funded by Microsoft. And what we do is we combine together our commercial expertise and our technical expertise to be able to provide you with a business value assessment covering a full return of investment report, where you can see all of the benefits laid out for you of going through this process and actually enacting this roadmap and getting your formula into reality. And what we do as well alongside that is do a deep dive into those candidates that we've identified as starting processes or flagship initiatives, so that we can then understand exactly what it is that we can do to alleviate or eliminate those business pains that you have around that process or initiative. And at the back of that, you'll get a proposal covering exactly how we move forward, fully costed statement of works.
And in tandem, while we run through that Inspire process, we can also take you through the Navigator process as well. And we do this together, side by side. Obviously, you know, this journey, this digital transformation that we're talking about here is centered around the Power Platform, and how do you enable an initiative within the organization to replace a business process. And the Power Platform capability obviously is fully reliant on data. So you need to understand the data, you need to understand what it's doing, what value, understand what the data flows are, to enable you to leverage that technology to deliver on that business outcome, which is why we run them together. And they are distinctly separate technologies, separate topics, separate disciplines, but fundamentally they need to come together to provide that capability. So this Navigator obviously really takes you through, you know, looking at what you're currently doing with your data, you know, what are the data sources, how are you planning to integrate with it, you know, is it unidirectional or bidirectional type of traffic, you need to take into account any master data, you know, really looking at what that long-term strategy is for the data to underpin this initiative, also underpin any wider initiatives or any wider digital transformations that you want to do, and then sort of finishing up with security requirements, what the ongoing operating model needs to look like, fundamentally, you know, how much will it cost, what's that total cost of ownership going to be if you were to go down this journey and you were to use this specific technology to try and deliver on that business outcome. And then we move into the analyze phase, because obviously we've collected all of this information, we've got a wealth of information now from you know, what the business process is, what the challenges are, what you're trying to overcome. You know, we know what the Power Platform capability, what does the Power App need to look like, how is it going to deliver on that digital transformation, that value back to the organisation. We know what data is in scope, we know what data you're trying to use, what you're trying to integrate with, we understand all of the data flows, but we know we've understood these in isolation. We need to do an exercise of really bringing them together, so bringing the different capabilities, different technologies together into one sort of unified understanding, you know, doing that kind of cross-stream analysis where we look at the data and how it overlays with the Power Platform suite, you know, how we can leverage multiple technologies to deliver on that one outcome. And again, you know, they are multiple technologies, multiple disciplines, bringing them together and being able to wrap them in one sort of one solution, sort of one deliverable in terms of that digital transformation is really where this process is key. So, you know, you're bringing all of this different capability together into sort of a unified total cost of ownership, what that total return on investment is going to be, and then it provides a collaboration between business units inside your organisation to bring them all together to understand, you know, this is the information, this is what we're heading towards, and this is the data that underpins why we're making this business decision, why we're going on this transformation journey.
And one of the fantastic things about this then means that rather than having to engage with multiple partners to deliver multiple different technologies, because of the breadth of excellence and expertise that we have at ANS, we're able to put together a holistic image for you. So when we go into what you'll actually receive out of the back of these processes, and we talk about the overall design for your solution, it's not just an application or a data strategy. We're talking about the design for your entire digital transformation. And so you can see in one place all of those total costs, and against the return of investment, you can understand how you can build a business case to cover this transformation across your business. You can see when you can expect to get those solutions and those initiatives to pay for themselves, and when you can start to just be seeing pure benefits out of the back end. And on top of that, we can utilize this cross-discipline expertise to create a really strong solution architecture where we're not limited by the technology that we're using or limited by our areas of expertise, because we have our colleagues across the different pillars who are able to add their own flavors and recommendations into the solution architecture. So utilizing the entire Microsoft stack, we can then create the ideal system to flow your users through your process in the way that is perfect for them. And of course, moving on, we have the capabilities to create a really robust and holistic data model that will enable you to showcase your data and structure your data in a way that reflects your business or your organization in real life. And this creates this fantastic ability for flexibility, configurability, and extensibility. And when we deliver these formulae and build these transformation formulae, we're not just looking at a one and done piece of work that you go through one transformation and that's it, it's over. This is a journey that we can go on together, and we can look forward into the roadmap. And by creating these holistic and universal data models, we can allow for that future extensibility and put the paving stones in place so that we're setting you up for future success.
4 is security and governance. Obviously, so it's a really big topic at the moment, and certainly while you're going through this digital transformation, security and governance is at the heart of every conversation. Most organisations are redefining this as they innovate, as they move forward, and including this as part of this process really gives you that foundation to make sure you're adhering to existing practices and policies that are in place, or you'll be defining new ones moving forward, which are going to become the standard for the organisation. How do you protect the data? Certainly if it's a more enabling initiative, the citizen developer, how do you put the data in the hands of your users, but in a secure way to enable them to innovate, enable them to revolutionize how you do business with the data that you've got, but make sure it's in a secure way that's governed and controlled. It might be talking to things like Azure Sentinel, be using some of the more Azure native services, bringing them in. It might be about creating that center of excellence within that organization, or really kind of measuring that quality of the data as it's coming through, and then how do you improve that? And finishing up, Purely is the new sort of Azure service that Microsoft is still in preview. It's really good, really powerful, really kind of gives you that kind of step back data steward view of the data to automatically go and identify and classify what data you've got to automate a lot of the tasks that you may have with that. Integrations, again, sticking on that sort of data theme, how do you integrate all of these different data sources? Potentially that's leveraging the ANS Sigma framework, wrapping that within that data ops deployment methodology. So, using the DevOps to do the automated pipelines, the build and the testing to really take away from the onerous of the user having to go in and do all of that. It's how is that going to look? Is that a point-to-point type of integration? Is it point-to-many? Do you need that integration layer? It's a very important topic. Certainly, from a digital transformation, because what you'll actually find is this integration layer actually doesn't just underpin this one initiative, it will underpin all of your initiatives. So is there, a wider sort of framework that you need to look at following there to enable the future growth of the organisation, and not just one for this. And finally, operating model. Obviously, understanding the maturity level of an organisation is key. If you're doing a digital transformation and you're transforming quite wildly from what's currently there, is your organisation mature enough to actually handle that change? Can it cope with the change? Can it, can it manage the new services that you're looking to integrate? Although it democratises them a lot, there is still knowledge that's needed there to be able to operate them securely and correctly. So it's understanding where you are on that maturity level, identifying the gaps, to really do that sort of analysis of, this is where you are, this is where you need to be, what the holes in there, recommending the solution on how you can bridge them. This is the capability that you need, this is the skill that you need within the team, but then also, what is that skill path look like for yourselves? So it's really enabling you to get your current staff to where they need to be, and attain the skills that are needed to really enable this digital transformation and make it stick within the organisation, really enabling that organisation to grow into the technology. So if we take a bit of a step back and think earlier in the slides where you look at that journey and that transformation formula, me and Clarissa have just taken you through there from a Power Platform and a data point of view, really looks like this, where we've identified that business process. We've then gone away, we've discovered the information required to make those business decisions, the design principles that really underpin what that digital transformation should look like, analysing that data, bringing it all together, bringing it to life, putting some real world context around what we've collected, and then ultimately getting into that design phase and recommending that Power Platform solution with data integration, and really enabling you to move forward with that design. You know what the digital transformation design is going to look like now. Now you're ready to move forward and deliver on that. So with that, I would like to hand over to David Minahan. He's a customer of ours, been working with for a while now. Really excited to hear what he's got to say. We've taken on a very similar journey that we've just discussed with you, albeit more Dynamics 365 and Azure services than Power Platform and data. But with that, David, I'll hand over to yourself.
Thanks, Joe. Hello, everybody. So I've got a few slides to go through. Hopefully, not too many, and hopefully they'll be interesting as well. So, Teddy London. I'm the CIO at Teddy London. This is a brief overview of our digital strategy and how we've tried to implement that at Teddy. We are a new university in the UK. We're founded by 3 global partners. It's Arizona State University, King's College London and UNSW. And we're specifically focused on providing design engineering education, so degrees in global design engineering. We're based in South London, in Canada Water, and we're currently just about to open our campus in September. So the strategy itself, it's on a page, so it's quite simple, quite straightforward. Hopefully easy for people to understand. It's aligned to the business objectives of the organisation. I think for this presentation, just to call out really what the driving principles of the strategy are. One is to have common interfaces so that things are easy for people to recognise and use, that we're digital by design, so we're always thinking about our services digital first, and where applicable really digital only. We're product focused, so this means we're managing our delivery of digital services in a product management approach and not thinking of it as a set of projects with end dates. So we know that things are going to continue to change and we need to have that capability internally to continue to iterate. We're a paperless environment and we're aiming with our data to be able to integrate, not duplicate. We're cloud first, and I think, importantly, as part of our cloud first strategy, we've also decided to take a Microsoft where possible approach. And the rationale for that really was around efficiency. So as a small organisation, we are somewhat constrained in terms of the amount of resources we could employ, the amount of breadth of resource that potentially we can use. So consolidating our services around the Microsoft stack gives us additional value in terms of that resource, but also gives us a range of benefits to think about the Microsoft upgrade path and the way that their services knit together. We're secure by default, so we design all of our services to have security embedded, and we're user-centered. And this is important for us. It's not just about the user as the customer, it's also about the user as a member of staff. So making sure that our digital services are easy for people to use. The operating model for IT sort of broadly looks like that. It's quite traditional, but the product management layer would be the thing that I think I'd call out as important. So we've understood that, you know, as an ongoing capability within the organisation, we're going to be able to respond to change and treat our services as products rather than as services in a traditional ITIL model. The service portfolio looks a little bit like that. Again, fairly traditional blocks of IT activity. And the digital products look like this. So these are the ones we've currently got live as a range of things, a number of student and staff apps in development. The pivotal point really is the student record system in any university, and also the virtual learning environments. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about those specifically in this presentation. So our student record system. So again, sort of thinking about us as an organisation and what we need. You know, did the off-the-shelf products really suit us, and were they scalable for our level of use? Being quite a small organisation, I was aware that the Dynamics Higher Education Accelerator was released in August 2019. I took it for a test drive when it was released, so I knew it existed. My assessment of it really is that there is some good base there really for what you could use for a student record system. And certainly not anything finished, but you know, the data entities and other aspects of it could all be things that you could use. With this idea and thinking about our Microsoft first approach and what would be sustainable for us long term, I spoke to some suppliers in the UK about whether there was anybody willing to build this with us really on the Dynamics Accelerator, and it was difficult, I think, in the UK at that time for people to commit to that. I think a lot of suppliers had products they wanted to sell me that had IP attached to them, and I wasn't really that keen from an organisational perspective to tie us into that kind of relationship. I wanted the flexibility really to be able to develop the capability without being tied into either long-term intellectual property contracts or having long-term consultancy fees on the back end of that when I wanted to make change. So I ended up in Seattle with Dr. Kellerman, who some of you may have heard of and know. He's a friend of ours who's based in Australia, and he opened some doors for me really. And I explained the problem to Microsoft. I said, look, you've built this capability, but currently there's nobody willing to help me deploy it in a meaningful way. So how can we do that? And they helped me with a search globally that took us back to the UK and with ANS Group, you know, who from the first contact that I had with them understood what we were trying to achieve. And it wasn't about trying to sell me a product. It was about trying to help me build the capability that I needed for the organisation so that we could meet the needs of our business users and our customers. So we embarked on a project to build a student record system. Quite an ambitious thing for a university to do, and I think, you know, why would you do it? I think the first thing really I would say is that it's actually cheaper. So it's actually cheaper for us on a 5-year total cost of ownership than it would have been to have bought the cheapest off-the-shelf solution and implemented that. And I think that's a key consideration for an organisation of our size. So not only does it give us flexibility in terms of the capability, it's also cost efficient. We started in August, so not that long ago, less than a year. Three environments, very traditional development model, dev, test and prod. We ran a weekly sprint cycle using Microsoft Planner as our main management tool, and we deployed our first working software in November 2020. So from 3 months from start to November, having a production instance of our admissions capability is a really short period of time. We are now actively processing all of our applications through this system. We also use this system for marketing and CRM. It's all joined up and we've got the integrations all working from Power Automate. The project overall was very successful and we were very happy with it. So our recruitment and admissions functionality, so all of our data capture is built to accommodate the UCAS import. So we've created the fields, the entities that we need to accommodate a direct import from the UCAS system. We can also complete all of our HESA returns in terms of the data, the fields that we built for data capture. The processes within the system are customized to our users, so the way that our admissions service want to work, so it's bespoke to the way that they want to work, and that's very important for them. They're not having to squeeze their processes and the way that they want to work into a system that can't accommodate it. We're able to take direct applications on our website, fully integrated into our dynamic system, and we've got detailed customer voice forms that we can email to potential applicants for more detailed information, again directly integrated into the system. We've got automated communications throughout, email, letter templates all built into the system, and all of our documents are issued through our contracts are issued through DocuSign, again fully integrated into the Dynamics 365 system and attached to the contact record for each applicant. We've got dashboard views for our admissions workers that they can look at when they log in the morning. They can see the progress of applications, what stage they're at. They can drill down into those, access specific details as they need to. We've also built our curriculum into the system. So this is all of the program information, all of our enrolment years, the groups, the modules, all of the module specifications and all the module sessions within a set of entities in Dynamics. And again, so we can report on these, we can change them, and we can use them as a base for other aspects that we want to do within the curriculum. We've also built all of our assessment components so that all of the stuff that the students assessed on for the degree will be in this system. So we can provide that data to them so they can see it and see their progress against what they're doing. So all of the marks, all of the various adjustments that they need to do for all aspects of their assessment for the time at Teddy London. We also run all of our appeals processes on this system. So again, using customer voice forms directly integrated into the contact record. We've got admission appeals and a variety of academic appeals when students aren't happy about various things at Teddy London. And we've also built our finance capability in this system so that we invoice students and we can track what they've paid against that invoice, and it's integrated into our off-site finance system. So when they make a payment, that's integrated back into Dynamics using Power Automate so that their record within this system, the data that we show them, is updated in pretty much real time. We've also built some faculty dashboards for colleagues in the registry team to be able to see a range of metrics at first glance when they log in to their system. We built a couple of apps for end users using the Power Apps functionality. Has some support from Clarissa, you spoke to earlier on, I think, or heard from earlier on this call. We built an attendance monitoring app. So what this enables us to do is to timetable all of our sessions led by academics. The academic gets an app on their phone that they can then register attendance against. That's directly integrated into Dynamics as soon as they check that attendance record. And this means that our reporting for attendance is accurate and real time. We're not having to pass around pieces of paper in the classroom and things like that. We're also providing a timetable for our students so that they can see where they're supposed to be on any given day and when all of their assignments are due. And again, this will all be available for them on their phones, updated in real time as the data changes in the system. Our virtual learning environment is in Teams, so we've used Teams out the box pretty much, using OneNote for collaboration. We're building all of our assignments and our rubrics in the Teams interface, and we're using Gradebook, which is built into Teams for all of the grades that students will get. And we're using insights for the metrics about engagement that people have in Teams, and we've successfully used the Teams environment during our summer schools in 2020 and the current one that's operating at the moment. Now, alongside that, we've decided not to purchase a traditional learning management system. So we've built a bespoke web application called the Learning Tree, and this is the main platform for surfacing our learning content that's digital. So it's a range of interactive digital learning content for our students to engage with. It's all platformed in Azure. That's the architecture map. So we've got some high resilience and failover capability built into the application. We've built a custom UI for people to be able to navigate their learning materials. So this is what it looks like. There's three options for them to navigate the learning materials. It's learn, explore, and search, and they can find the stuff that they need to be able to do the underpinning knowledge as part of their degree at Teddy London. All of the data based on their completion of assessments at the end of the node. These are summative assessments at the end of the formative assessments at the end of the node. They have a quiz to complete, which is a Microsoft form, and they either pass or fail, but then that record is kept within the system so that they can see their progress of what nodes they've completed and what they haven't. It's mobile friendly because we understand that students are going to want to use this on their mobile phone, and the prototype is currently being used by our summer school students. And then this is really exciting. So we've just started on a new project with Microsoft and ANS Group to integrate these two aspects of our digital estate. So our student record system on Dynamics 365, our virtual learning environment on Teams, and our Learning Tree web application platformed in Azure are going to be fully integrated in terms of a data layer, primarily using the school data sync service. So the School Data Sync service, if you don't know what it is, it's a free product that Microsoft provide as part of your Microsoft licensing, and it enables things like automatic provision of teams based on your student record system information, and it also offers an integration back from the gradebook data in the team's assignments back into your student record system. So we're using the One Roster API to map that data back across, and we're currently in development with this project and due to release in September. So where are we heading? So our end state, really, the end state capability for Teddy London. I think this is what we're going to be looking like. We pretty much have one system for all of our student data from first contact. So when they first make a contact to us on our website or sending us an email or at a UCAS fair, all the way through to graduation, we'll have a 360-degree view of that student data. We're using low-code, no-code digital products pretty much throughout, and that means that we have much less technical debt than we would if we were trying to develop things ourselves. And nothing that we've done that we've built on the Power Platform has taken us off of the Microsoft roadmap. So we've not built any extensions using customized JavaScript, for example, which means that we might be at risk of losing that capability when Microsoft make a change in the future. From my perspective, what I'm looking to achieve is a sustainable IT operation that I've got, you know, a limited overhead in a small organisation to run an IT operation, so it needs to be sustainable in the long term. But within that, we've got the capability to iterate and build new products. So when the user needs change, students desire, they want different things, academics want different things. He said make a change to the data model. We've got the ability to respond to that quickly with the in-house resource and the supplier wraparounds that we've bought. That means that we can continue to make those changes quickly and efficiently. We hope that what we're building provides an optimised staff and student experience because it's customised to what they want and how they want to work, and also that we think that this capability gives us the ability to respond to change. I mean, that is it for me, really. This is the last slide, so you've got some wonderful people there to look at on that slide, and I think I'll stop sharing my screen now, Joe, if that's all right.
Yeah, you're okay. Perfect, great stuff. Thank you, David. So yeah, I guess hopefully everybody's enjoyed it. I know that I found that very insightful from yourself, David, and I guess the takeaway from today's event would certainly be for me that actually, you know, you've seen multiple use cases here, both in theory from Clarissa, but also in reality from David, on how you can apply the Microsoft Cloud to your business to effectively deliver a digital transformation program that works in a really sustainable and efficient way without having to hack it, you know, break away from kind of any architectural principles or standards, and more importantly, at extreme pace. I mean, what David's taken you through hasn't been something that's achieved in weeks, but it's certainly not taken them years either. So thank you everybody for attending. If you'd like to know any more, please feel free to reach out to your ANS account manager or myself. We'll be happy to answer any questions and follow up accordingly. And likewise, anyone who left a message on the chat, will follow up as soon as we can.